Hi, Steffi. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. I hope you're doing great today. It's good to see you. Welcome everyone lurking and listening to my art stream. It's just gonna be a chill stream today. I wanted to talk about the possible chance of a poll coming up for a 10-minute art drawing. If you guys have ideas of what you would like that to be, I will add it to the poll. Also, I'm going to work on my Umbreon sketch today for the future paintings I'm doing. If you're not familiar, I'm going to be working on a 3-piece painting set of Gengar, Umbreon, and Mewtwo. I already have the Gengar sketch kind of sketched out on what I want it to look like. Just a really rough pencil sketch. My sketches are extremely rough, but if you're familiar with the stream, you know my art paintings turn out pretty awesome. So just keep that in mind as we work on the sketch today. But yeah, welcome Snappy. I hope you're having a good Memorial Day and relaxing, and I hope you find the stream relaxing, guys. So yeah, if you do, 1 second. Yeah. Oh, a wild shaman? Oh, that's a legendary, guys! Go catch the legendary! No, you gotta help me catch it, guys. You don't understand. If multiple people don't poke catch, we don't get it. So hopefully you're listening. Poke catch. Shaman, that's the one. I need Shaman. I need him. He's so cute. Take care of something. Hi, Jay. Welcome to the stream. Yay, somebody's helping me poke catch, please. Did we get Shaman at all? No one caught it. I'm so sad. Hello, I'm new here. I'm Turtle. You look cute. Hi, Turtle. Welcome to the stream. Oh, but yeah. Welcome, Jay. Welcome, Turtle. We're doing an art stream. Again, I am taking ideas for the 10-minute drawing. Once we get to that point in the fundraiser, we're gonna do a quick 10-minute drawing. But first today, we're gonna work on my Umbreon sketch. But I will show you guys, if you hadn't seen the Gengar sketch already, I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, let's go to the correct screen here, move stuff out of the way. I gotta find myself. Oh, you're special. No! I don't have a quick button for this one, I forgot. Nope, it's the wrong one. Here we go. There we go. It took me a hot second. I was like, Momo! Special. Guys, I know it's hot right now. I imagine. What is it, like 115 degrees probably or something ridiculous today? Because it's super hot here. Just saying. I feel like I need to move this track text text off the image. I can put it on me. Let's see. Chat box. There's like never a good spot for the. Don't move that. There's like never a good spot for the chat box. There we go. We'll just put it right here. That sounds good. Now you can see the drawing pad. Hey, I didn't do the command. I just joined chat. That's what they all say. Maybe. Excuse me. I'm gonna cough on you guys. Momo's raging. Drink some water, right? But yes, we have our 10-minute drawing coming up. And I'm open to quick draw ideas if you guys have any. I'm just gonna cough my head off now. Jeez, I'm so sad we didn't get Shaman though. But yeah, there we go. Princess Peach eating a peach. I like that idea. So let's add that. I think I just click on it and properties. There we go. Hugs back. Yeah. All the hugs. Now Momo is licking and cleaning her own fur, it seems. Salty. And being salty about it. Let's see. Boop. Boop, Jay. Let's see. Like Snappy. Kisses, Myrtle. And what else do we got? Splashes myself. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, there we go. There we go. The left upper cheek, not the bottom ones. Not the bottom ones. No, thank you. Wine. Oh, yes. Wine would be lovely right now. I actually just have lemon water, though. It looks like it's Dunkin', but it's not. It's just water and lemon. Because I haven't been feeling 100% today. So I'm trying to drink some water now. I may have made bad food choices earlier today. I think I had way too much sugar. Bad habit of mine. That I hope to correct. Working on it. But we'll see. Fantasy ramen bowl. What is a fantasy ramen bowl look like? Just like a bowl of ramen. Ooh, fantasy though. It could be my imagination though. It could be anything I want it to be. Fantasy items. I don't know. What kind of fantasy items are we talking about? Just leaves my imagination open. Alright, let's see. Fish cakes, the real fish shapes. Aww. Galaxy broth? That sounds cool. Now if I could spell it. There we go. I like it. And alright, we're gonna leave that there. And then I gotta like block some of these things so I quit clicking on them. And that works. You beneath the sakura tree. I don't know about all that. I only got 10 minutes. It's gonna be a stick figure under a sakura tree. Right on here for about 25 minutes, then going out for dinner with the girlfriend. Oh, that's awesome. I hope you have a good dinner. What are you gonna go eat? Food. Food is yummy. Alright, so as you can see, this was my Gengar sketch for the Gengar painting coming out. Mona Lisa. That's cute. She would have like cat ears, right? So, well, like an anime version. Okay, let me see. I'll add those 2 more ideas. And then we'll wait and let other people do ideas too. Let's see. Mono. Thunder. Okay. Sakura. Tree. But yeah, thank you for all the ideas. Mono. Peace. Huh? I enjoy food, Jay. Brisket. Brisket sounds good. Oh, yeah, no, say anything. Friday has to just keep going out. No worries. No, I like it. I like the ideas. There was nothing on the board, so this puts quite a few ideas on the board. So yeah. Ooh, I can put like little dashes in front of them so that we can see like their separate ideas. Because right now it just looks like a big hodgepodge of text. That way we can see their little different ideas. Did you mono scream then too? I love that. What's good? Hi, Nick Duffy. Let's see. I don't know about drawing myself though. How's everything going? It's going good. It's going good. We're brainstorming ideas for a 10-minute drawing for St. Jude's. Once we unlock that goal line, we're gonna do a poll, and whichever one of these ideas wins will be the one I'll do for like a quick 10-minute drawing. Also, I'm showing everybody the Gengar drawing I did a while back for the painting coming up, and today I'm going to do the Umbreon sketch for the painting coming up as well. Psyduck! Psy! Psyduck, Psy. Psyduck screaming? Is that what you're saying? Instead of Mono screaming? That way we don't have all the Mono things. That's a good idea. Psyduck Psy. He would be a cool subject for it too. But how are you, Nick Dothy? I hope you're doing awesome. Psyduck is a cool idea for a screen painting. And then there you go. I gotta read these. Okay. Join Nick Dothy for a variety of packed streams. Mama, thank you for the cheers. Thank you. From Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door, Fun to Owlscape Baseball, Shenanigans, and Tales of Arise Adventures. They're your go-to for gaming giggles. Gaming giggles, that's cute. Plus, dive into their manga mastery and art antics. Whether it's a watch party or crafting in the paper world, Nick's streams are a blast of creativity and coolness. Hashtag gamer artist. Thank you so much for the videos. Thank you. Alright, now I'm gonna read yours. Oh, also a Hone Edge appeared if you guys want to catch it. Let's see. See if I have it. I don't have it. Let's see if I catch it. Join the adorably clumsy. Oh my god, this is gonna be so cute. Join the adorably clumsy Momoro, a fun-sized Dutch gamer who's self-aware about their lack of gaming prowess. Oh no. Rock and metal tunes, check. Good vibes, double check. They're your go-to for laughs, even if it's at their own gaming fails. Last seen adventuring in Hogwarts Legacy with Emo Stitch. Expect spell cast with a side of oops. And yes, they're fluent in both Dutch and English. The fact that it says lol, extra appropriate seeing it's a Dutch word. Oh my god. Oh no, that's very inappropriate. Oh. Oh, let's see. You don't own that ball. Oh no, Jay. Yes, it is. I don't have one. Cherish ball, a present from Jay. Ooh, you gifted us stuff. Sweet. A netball, a present from Jay. Thank you for the gifts, guys. Thank you. I always forget that's a thing. I think I have gifts to give away still. Yeah. Okay, time to get a comfier position so I can draw. To get closer to the screen so I can lick it. No, I'm just kidding. I gotta lick the screen, make sure it's clean. Oh. Yeah. This Gengar. I blame Gengar. I want to lick the screen now, you know? His expression there. Come on, camera. Focus! Focus on Gengar! It's not gonna do it. It's mad at me. Focus. Oh, I think it's... Was it grabbing my drink? It was. I was focusing on a drink that you can't see. It's off the camera. Oh, thank you for the 25 minutes. It's see, I don't have one. Anyways, thanks for the SO. You're welcome. Thank you so much for the biddies. With 25 and it has shared a total of 683. Why did KimonoKat all of a sudden start saying the amounts of bits you guys have done? I don't even remember turning that on or where to turn that on at. I don't know. Shout out, yeah. I said. Yeah. I need to paint my nails again. I'm like subconscious because my nails are like really peeling and bad right now. So ignore how bad they are because I didn't have time to paint them. You were doubting, so I typed it out. I just doubt my own voice sometimes. Or if I'm like thinking about something else at the same time. Alright, this Umbreon needs to have just as much fire and strength and action as the Gengar. I don't know if you noticed, but the Gengar, he's, you know, and he's got his paws up and he's got his tongue out and he's like just ferocious and he's like, you know, angry. So we're gonna do the same thing with Umbreon. I had to defeat Felix for #1 spot. We both had 200 but couldn't do one. Ah, nice. Good job, good job. You did it, you did it. So yeah. I didn't even realize that. I think it's set to change each month. I think is what it's set to. I try not to leave it to like all-time highest because then nobody would ever get their name on the board. And I think the next choice is like each month to have it roll over. You could do it daily as well, but I'd rather leave you guys with it for at least a month. Okay. So Umbreon is a very cat-like or chihuahua-like, small rodent, cat-like animal kind of to me. It can, you know, as far as the body shape and the feel and like it pouncing and stuff, so I'm gonna kind of go with that. Mama! Why? Had to round it off. Oh my gosh, 342? It's a fox. Yeah, I see that too. It's weird though that its tail is like rounded, but yeah, I guess its tail is more fox-like than any of the other animals. It's 800 now. Oh, your total bits you were rounding up. I was like, what is she talking about rounding it up? The total. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's to make her total donation of bits over the time she's been here to 800. So that's awesome though. I get it now. At first I was confused too. Turtle's trying to understand things. Okay, so you're gonna think about composition. I think I want the sphere here. Coming out of its mouth. And then I want its head like appropriately. But then its body's gonna be like turned around and in the background. And then you're gonna see like its tail come up a little bit. So I'm trying to like twist in my mind what shape this looks like. This is like, I don't know. We'll see. If I hate the sketch, the good thing about it is it's just a sketch and I can do it again. We gotta start somewhere. Umbreon. Umbreon. So we're gonna start with like a spirally thing here. I probably should have drawn its head first, but that's okay. And then like its head would be like in proportion to that. And then its big ears. Big ears. Pointy ears. As turtle said, fox-like ears. There we go. And then its eyes are definitely lower on its skull. So it keeps that in mind. And then I'm looking at a couple reference photos too. Of course, it's gonna have its symbol on its head. And its ears are banded. There needs to be at least 5 active players in chat that did not receive a present within the past 20 minutes. Oh, it hasn't been 20 minutes yet. Dang it. Gotta wait 20 minutes. And then I kind of want it like... Was that like his... I'll look at a picture of a cat. Don't beat me. But for reference, for like... Because we gotta squeeze the whole body on this page too. Because it's gonna be like... I mean, I guess the whole body doesn't have to be on the page. It can kind of go off the page. Pokemon Lickitung 0108 is good. We could do a Lickitung, right? Let's see. That reminds me. Let's go here. I just want to hit the random quote button. I just feel like it. Let's see what random quote we get today. So many images the right way. I don't think I said that. I don't know who said that. We forgot to write down who said that. I don't know if that was me or not. I feel like that wasn't me. I feel like it was somebody else. Bug Pokemon are Lickitung's main food source. This Pokemon paralyzes its prey with a lick from its long tongue, then swallows the prey whole. Oh my god. It's gonna eat the whole thing. But yeah. I don't want to make him angry, but yet keep him slick. And I don't know. Like his hair would be like a little bit. I feel like this is gonna be... I don't know if this one's going to be the harder one or if it's going to be Mewtwo. That's the harder painting to do. So I could do it like that angle, or I could do it more of like an angle like this ear's coming back and you can see the open mouth, but needs to put her rod away. I mean, that's what Rain kept telling me. And we ended up having 2 kids, so what can I say? You know? I feel like the paw could be like that, like that. I'm gonna have to study the body structure, I think, a little bit more for these guys to figure out the twist and turn of this torso and body. Because I could do it like this, or I could do it like that. And this would put the tail about right here. I feel so lost doing this one. Or I could make it like super kind and gentle. Lick tongue is great. I like being licked and paralyzed and feel vulnerable. Oh. So then I kind of want to do I want to do a straight on view or a side view? I'm not liking this one. Maybe. Maybe they don't all have to be as violent. Could be like a wild soul rock appeared. Okay, I need to go meet the girlfriend from work for dinner also. So yeah, I have got a big surprise for everyone when we're on Discord. Oh, really? I'm excited to hear it. All right, Jay, you enjoy your dinner and I look forward to it. So that, you know, and then we can have it like you know, like we do have a good stream, hon. Well, do have a good stream and take care. Thank you, will do. I feel like it's important to capture the shape of these ears, but they're like so hard to capture because it's like thin, thick, thin, thick, yeah. And then the bands are like round. Drink water. Thank you so much. I like how no one tried to catch Solo Rock because nobody cares. And what if you could have it like with its one paw up or something? I don't know. And then the other one could be down. But it would be more like it was up like this. Not over there. I feel like I need more Umbreon references. I'm gonna have to definitely practice drawing Umbreon a little bit before I do this painting. But you guys get the idea. It just seems too gentle that way. It's not violent enough. This is more like a very passive one, you know? I feel like there's like grass and a tree and branches. Screaming mouth, yeah. It kind of is, but yeah. Maybe it would be more. I love how I just draw grass. It's just a squiggle. There's your grass. There's a flower. There. I'm a pro. Yeah, it's like. But yeah, I was doing like a standing stance, and then I was like, this isn't working. Because I kind of like the idea of the stance better with the other one. Gengar is easy because he's just round. He's just round. It makes it so much easier. It's just round. That's it. Just round. Yeah, go back to this one. One was like he's firing down though. Which could be okay. I kind of want to look up pictures of angry Umbreon now. Does Umbreon even get angry? I like a kid's picture I just saw. It's like, I kind of like it. It's like the mouth is open like you're talking about with like the rare teeth. And then the eyes would be more like then the paws were up. It's so cute. I was just like it's like rare. And then the ears go back, of course. More like I was thinking at this angle. That one would be like super simple too. Maybe it would be better to simplify it and think of it that way. And then it would be more of like that. He's just rare. And then you just got the big ball of show the power shooting out. Good. I don't even have to draw those exactly. You can just like have it the canvas cut off like right here. Because I want to make it like impressive. I don't want it to be like you also got to think about how you frame it. It would be a little taller though, just because of the canvas I have and the proportions. And then I could even have like the moon. I could do a moon up here. More moon cheese. Just kidding. No more moon cheese. You were here last art stream. You don't know about the moon cheese. Behind me. Up there. Yeah, right there. That painting. Yeah. Looks good. Thank you. Sketch, yeah. I definitely need to work on it, define it further though. Let's see. message real quick. Images. Somebody did like a fake Pokemon card of this. Why is Umbreon gonna be so hard to draw, I feel like? Probably because I want it to be perfect. I didn't even think about the iconic symbol on Umbreon's head is more of a circle, oval. Gotta make sure I get the oval on there. I like the background too. You do like it? Like moons and stars, and I kind of think I want to do like a galaxy kind of background. Like you're talking about galaxies. Literally talking about doing like a galaxy background for all three to help tie them together. I mean, they can be on the ground, but I want like that feel and that theme. A ladybug appeared. Oh catch. Oh gosh. Oh catch, ladybug. There. I don't know. You like it? You like the idea then? There's too much stuff on there. There. And then Mewtwo is the other one I'm gonna do. So that's gonna be a hard one to draw and figure out as well. Oh, it could be in like the pounce posture too. You know, like. Thank you for the light green. Let's see. I'm just looking at references now. I do kind of like this though. It's just so salty, rare. And of course the eyes are cute. Little angry eyes. Hi, Matthew. Thank you for the like. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I could even do the symbol to show how angry it is. You know what I'm talking about? The little anime anger symbol. Just like, eh. It's angry. I like now it's got like that. A Mew mouth. Music is good, thank you. It's just free music, instrumental for art. Chill music. Yeah. The eyes and the things. Yeah, that symbol! The angry symbol. Momo's so good at that. What are they doing? How the heck do they get humans as emotes dancing? That's crazy. Little gifts. That's cool. Hello. 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 Yeah. Then, like, who knows how many toes Umbreon has? I don't even know. How many toes does Umbreon have? All the booty emotes. The unicorn. Liam. Oh my gosh. An idea is to do gifts though. Might do that too, right? I didn't even know you could do gifts. How? I guess for the animated emotes? Hmm. That's so cool. I can't believe they turned out though, and you can actually tell what they are. Those are cool ideas though. Mm-hmm. Alright, well this is my idea for the day. I don't think it's as strong as an idea the Gengar one I did. It just looks so much better to me. Of course, it's badly drawn, but we won't talk about that. It's just a sketch. Gonna have to think about it some more. And maybe I'll figure out what I want. And I also talked about making it a shiny Umbreon. So it would be the blue colors, not the yellow and black. Gengar is your favorite? Yeah. You like this one? I'm glad you like it. Maybe I will keep it then. Maybe I will make them all kind of playful then. I don't know. I just feel like it needs a little bit more refining. Make the moon Gengar's belly. That's his mouth. So I like the tongue. It's Gengar there. Just kidding. No, it's fine. Normally that would be his belly, but he's like got his mouth wide open. So yeah. And then Mewtwo will be next. Just angry Pokemons? Yeah, I want all three of them like very angry. Like they're in fight mode. I've never done like super angry paintings before, so I figured fun and they can still be cute. And me too will be like doing his shadow ball like this. You know, they each are doing shadow balls, so. Yeah, just looking at references. And dig trio on the moon. A little hidden dig trio that you just don't even see. Just like it's just there. Only we know what's there. Yeah. Yeah, just hiding in the moon's cheese hole. Being angry, of course. Got abandoned and stranded on the moon. Maria woke them up. Hey, I don't even know what an angry ditto looks like. I'm scared to Google that. Dig trio. Let's see, angry dig trio. Oh, they get squinty eyes. They get all squinty-eyed when they're mad. New. Are you trying to say I need a bath? Let's see. But yeah, they have like squinty eyes like this and like this. That's what they look like. And then their big nose. So that's a dig trio. And then all the rocks around them. Or that's just the one, of course. By itself. I got him on a run! Yes. But yeah, they're angry like that. I love their eyebrows. Got the angry eyebrows. Yes. Angry eyebrows. Here, I'll go ahead and draw like another one here. Can't see the other one, he's off the page. But yeah. Or, hold on. And then it's like, perfect. That's making the sketch better already. Oh. Yeah, they live up here on the moon. And now they're angry. Thanks. You're like, we don't know what that is. No, and then you know, here you got like a singular one. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it though, guys. I think I'm done with the stream already. I know it was a short stream today, but I appreciate you guys hanging out and being here and watching me do this silly sketch today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's see. Thank you. And thank you guys for helping me think of ideas for when we reach our goal. Yeah, because the next goal is at, what was it? Let me look again. I don't even know. I need my link. Delicatty? Oh, that's Skitty. Skitty's evolve. Do I have it? I don't. Okay, so yeah, at 7:75, I'm gonna draw one of these that we created the poll for, the 10-minute drawings. Princess Peach eating a peach, fantasy ramen, Mono under a sakura tree, Mona Lisa, or Psyduck scream painting. Drawing, actually, just a drawing, 10-minute drawing. But yeah, you get the idea. So we are literally $15 away from that drawing. So once we get the $15, then we'll do that drawing. And that'll be it. But hi, Splits! Welcome! Splits splashes himself. But yeah, I have to stay until we catch this Pokemon. Because that's the thing. I need it. Did that wake you up? He's splashing himself. He's gonna electrocute himself. That's how this works. Let's see. Yay! We caught it. Yup, it's rigged. Super wet. Finish again. Ah. Drips. Oh, geez, you guys are great. But yeah, we finished the rough sketch for the next painting. The very, very rough Umbreon sketch that goes along with the Gengar sketch. And then we'll have to do the Mewtwo sketch. And then once I get all the sketches finalized, we'll actually start the paintings. In Dutch? Huh. Interesting. Apparently that word is blocked, Momo. There. Momo got blocked. She's using bad words, right? You missed it. But yeah. There you go. That's where we're at. And there's Rain, if you're just looking, those are the poll ideas we got coming up. I have to draw one of those in 10 minutes. Whichever one gets voted on. Once we reach the next goal at 7.75, it's like $15 away. So once we reach that, then I'll have to do that. So, but yeah, if you guys are tuning in, I'll probably try to do another stream this week in between, and then Friday is gonna be my birthday stream, giveaway stream. So I will see you guys on Friday, and Friday is the final day of St. Jude's stream too. So hopefully we can make the goal for St. Jude by Friday. That is my hope. Yes, Friday is my birthday. So I'll be here streaming one more day for St. Jude and also doing a giveaway for you guys. So I'll probably try to stream midweek, get one more stream in. I don't know what yet though. We'll have to see. Maybe, I don't know. maybe some Stardew. Because I'm trying to... It depends, it depends. If we had made our goal, what was it? Oh, it's too far away. But if we had for some reason made it, there's Power Wash Simulator on here. There's Phasmo on here. Oh my god. I wish I could have had time to do more streams for you guys so that we could have reached all these, but work has been crazy. Life is crazy. I'm still so happy with how far we have come. So I'm ecstatic that we made it this far. But I will see you guys next stream. Take care. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything. You guys are... I gotta find my button. Where'd it go? Good night, all.